All right, let's start with this because some folks may not have even seen this because it just came out. So I'm just going to read the president's statement. He said, based on conversations with Prime Minister Sharif, Field Marshal Munir of Pakistan, I apologize if that's the wrong pronunciation. I think that's correct. And wherein requested that I hold off the destructive force being sent tonight to Iran and subject to the Islamic Republic of Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. I agree to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. This will be a double-sided ceasefire, all capital letters. I'm not sure if that's double secret probation level or what. We will see. The reason for doing this is we have already met and achieved and exceeded all military objectives and are very far along with the definitive agreement concerning long-term peace with Iran and peace in the Middle East. We received a 10-point proposal from Iran and believe it is a workable basis on which to negotiate. Almost all of the various points of past contention have been agreed to between the United States and Iran, but 2-week period will allow the agreement to be finalized and consummated. Okay. On behalf of the United States of America, as president, also representing the countries of the Middle East, it is an honor to have this long-term problem closed to resolution. Thank you for your attention to this matter. President Donald J. Trump. That was at 5:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Buddy, there's a lot there.
There's a lot there. I think the part that I think a lot of people are missing, and a friend of mine flagged this for me, was he said we received so according to Barack Ravid over at Axios, he said that Israel has agreed to a ceasefire and will suspend its strikes for 2 weeks. The other part that I think the most important part of that whole statement, just if you ask me, is that we received a 10-point proposal plan from Iran and believe it is a workable basis to which to negotiate. To me, that reads like a concession to Iran. That reads like Iran, like they acceded to this and backed off. The president was talking about bombing bridges and bombing civilian infrastructure. This is a capitulation by the president, if you ask me.
It's a capitulation. I think we should qualify it, though. He clearly was looking for an off-ramp.
Yes.
I think he needed to find an off-ramp. He created this problem, but he did need to find an off-ramp. So I don't want to bash him too much for the off-ramp portion of it. However, the capitulation part is we don't have anything definitive here other than, and again, in very Trumpian fashion, and you tell me, because you've been covering this more and you've been talking, I know Congress is out right now, but you're still talking to people. Some of them are actually in town. I know there's some committee stuff going on. This is very Trumpian, in which this entire agreement was pretty much outsourced to Pakistan, Turkey. There was an Egyptian fellow involved, I believe. I don't want to discredit anybody, but it was mostly Pakistan and Turkey negotiating this. He outsourced this whole thing. He jawboned it on social media. Yeah. And now we have it on the deadline after he had escalated the rhetoric as high as you can escalate it without escalating it. I don't know what was next. Maybe blow him off the planet. I went as high as we were going to get. So I think two things can be true at once. I think it's a bit of a capitulation. I also think it's, and I said this on TV earlier today, I said it on radio, I think backing off and taking an option where the president probably wasn't going to look real good doing it, but just declare victory and let's pause everything and go from there. I do think it was the best of the bad options available at the moment. I think both are true at the same time.
Yes. Literally, that was my editor. He's just doing the final touches to my piece.
Did you do two? Because I've got 2 ready to go. And just behind the scenes, folks, I wrote 2 today because it's like it's going to be this or that. So
I wrote one of my our White House reporter wrote one in case he pulled the trigger. I wrote a column in case he backed down. So my piece is about to go live in case he backed down. But the point that I was making, and I said this early on, was that at this point, the common refrain with Trump is take him seriously, not literally. Iran can't afford to parse when to take him seriously or literally. They have to take it. And what Iran has to do now is they have to create a deterrent. They have, so the ceasefire is going to go through, but they have to make it as drawn out. They have to show as much leverage as possible to Strait of Hormuz. It has to be done completely on Iran's terms to reopen Hormuz. lest this happen again, and unless Trump tries any funny business. And on top of that, what this also does is it shows that, ironically, this is the kind of weakness that Trump used to bash Barack Obama about when Barack Obama backed down on the red line with Syria, when he refused to punish Vladimir Putin for going into Crimea. This is all of that tenfold, because now you have Trump saying we're going to blow you off the face of the earth, and then when you just get a nice little ring from the Pakistani prime minister, you back off.
Yeah, the piece to this, of course, is, and he qualified it, so I'll give him credit for this. He was smart enough to put it in, if they leave the strait open, which, okay, I need some definition in there, because one of the major things that have changed now is they changed the toll gates, and I'm using that term loosely because the media is using it. I hate it, but for everybody understands what we're talking about.
Sure.
They've changed that to taking, Chinese currency now.
Yes.
They are racking up money to open the strait. So is it goes back to the way it was, or you can do it the way you're doing it now without us shooting at you and the conflict? These are the devil in the details things I need. Again, I think he did the right thing here by declaring victory and stepping back, and let's readjust. I think the president did the exact right thing for the situation that he caused that shouldn't have got to this point, but nevertheless, he did the right thing.
Yeah. Let's be clear. This was a situation that the president caused. The president self-inflicted this crisis, and now he's declaring victory. But you're right. The devils are going to be the details. How this money is, as you said, they're taking Chinese currency. Is Iran still going to get money when people pass again with the toll roads? I hate that term as well.
I hate it too.
But is Iran going to be making money with these toll roads, with these toll fees? How is that money? And of course, Iran making money creates an economic avenue for them, a way for them to get money outside of the sanctions. All of these things get as much as you can just Trump can declare victory, and yes, it's better than the alternative. Iran made some significant gains here by just making the punishment so much just too painful, making the cost too painful to shoulder.
Yeah, oil prices hit the all-time high on the Brent currents this morning, 144, I believe. I may be a little off on that number, but pretty close.
So,
one thing folks need to understand, and again, my background's in transportation logistics. This media thing's the plan C/D item 4 in my career. I'm a transportation guy by trade, by education, everything else. The ripple effects of what's been going on the last 6-7 weeks are just now starting to show up in the economy. I know the gas prices immediately went up, but that's because those are future. I don't want to bore people with the details. That's an immediate thing they can adjust. What we call bullwhip effects that we've talked about in logistics, that stuff is just now starting to come.
Correct.
So the economic stuff of this hasn't really hit yet. They're trying to mitigate that, as they should be trying to do, by the way. I'm fine with that. This is going to change how people consider things. The Saudis fired up the East-West pipeline at full blast for the first time in the real world. That's going to change some things. I don't know if you saw it today, but the statement from the Qataris was amazing. Did you see that?
I did not.
Qatari, I don't know if he's the foreign minister, or I don't know his title, but acting like a foreign minister type posting. We'll put it to that. I'll get a link to it later and put it up for folks. He basically, I'm going to paraphrase and put words in his mouth, but I've been doing this a while. He basically said, we need to get back to business as usual, and this is bad for business. Can we stop doing this? And then it came out that they're losing, 20 odd million in so many time frames. I don't think we've talked enough about the realignment, and we're going to have to see how the ceasefire goes. I know in the media, especially the MAGA media and the progressive left media, they got all about Israel all the time on this, and a lot of that was just ugly stuff, and there's a lot of anti-Semitism to that.
Yeah.
I think the GCC piece of this got completely glossed over in American media. I think we did not talk. Look, the GCC spends exorbitant, whatever you think AIPAC and Israel spends on influence, and they do, it's dwarfed by what the GCC spends. I don't think we've talked about that. Oh, no. But the GCC component of this, there's no way President Trump agreed to this without a phone call to them. There's no way that they haven't been driving the bus on a lot of this. They weren't tapping out, but they were starting to very publicly start talking about, like, okay, we got to get back to business somewhere in here pretty quickly. That's the piece I think the American media has done a very poor job covering of this entire conflict.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think we should also take into account that the ceasefire in Gaza really came into place after Israel got a little too randy and fired into Qatar when there were American diplomats last year. Um, Trump likes the Qataris, and I think that one thing, with the GCC and with the Arab countries, when Trump was in the Gulf last year, when he made his kind of like trip to the Gulf, it was very clear that they were trying to curry favor with him. They were at that point, they were just done with Biden. They were sick of the Democrats, just the way that they conducted themselves. So they were just looking. My friend Akbar Shahid Ahmed has written about this. And Trump, for better or worse, speaks their native language, which is just raw power and just brute force. So they speak, so they can work with each other. Of course, the Qataris gifted Trump a nice jet last year. They have a working relationship, which is very different from the last Trump administration, where it was very much he was pro-Saudi versus, and when MBS was trying to goose like trying to box out the Qataris. But absolutely, the Qataris are, and the GCC as a whole played a massive role in this. And for all the talk about AIPAC and Israel, and of course, Bibi Netanyahu was a big influence on all this. It was like you cannot discount the role of Saudi Arabia, the role of Qatar, the role of the Gulf states in this entire war.
Yeah, let's talk about that piece real quick, because I think the other underlying current of both of this is it's not just our midterms. Bibi's up for election here in October. So you have dual path things where, again, the second he's out of office, he's going back on trial because that got paused by October 7th. We know what the midterm situation in America looks like. I know Congress is gone right now, but that's what you do. You're a congressional reporter about trade right now. You're a Washington bureau chief. I know they're out of town, but you're hearing what's going on. And I know this news is just broke, so you haven't got this particular piece of it. But it almost felt like Congress was like, we're just going to stay out of town until this gets settled.
Yeah, they were kind of. I think that Speaker Johnson was kind of just like duck and cover and wait for this thing to go away.
Yeah, and he made it.
And he made it. Yeah. I mean, this is what Mike Johnson does, isn't it? Like he ducked out last year when there was the government shutdown. He ducked out when there was the DHS shutdown. He kind of just tries to wait it out because if he makes a decision that inevitably angers somebody in his conference, and look, he's got this thin of a majority, as you and I always like to remind folks. But even before even before Congress left, he was like, there were already even members in his own conference who were like, why are we here? We're not getting briefed. There was a lot of frustration with the fact that the principals, like the defense secretary, the secretary of state, the director of national intelligence, the CIA, were not briefing Congress. And so this was the break for Congress was already pre-planned. It was the Passover and Easter break, but it's certain, like, the speaker can gavel in anytime he wants. The Senate Majority Leader could, but I think they were just kind of waiting for this to blow over. And it looks like it is, but look, there's going to be a lot of questions coming in these next 2 weeks, especially because, and you and my favorite R word, Andrew, there's going to be talk about reconciliation, and there's going to be talk
three
about,
of them. They want to do 3 of them.
They want to do 3 reconciliation bills. God help me. They want to do a supplemental, for Homeland Security. They want to do another one on social safety spending, and then they want to do on Homeland Security spending. And they're gonna have to do that, that $200 billion that Trump wants for Iran and for the stockpiles, because we use a lot of the munitions for the stockpile.
Yeah. Let's stop right there for just a second, because I think this is important, and you're a congressional reporter, so you can explain this better than I can. The 200 million is not for what we're doing right now. The 200 million is, this is actually one thing I got to defend the administration on. When we go to conflict, whether it's strikes, package, or whatever, there's automatic spending that has to go to Congress to basically backfill what they think we're going to use. So I've seen this kind of abuse, and I like to be fair. Look, when the administration does something bad, I'll bash them for it. But this is not one of those things. this is to replace munitions. This is for maintenance for when the fleet comes back. We already know the Ford's got issues. They're going to have to do things with that. There's been stuff in the news, but there's a lot of stuff not in the news. That's almost like it's not an automatic, but it's as close to an automatic. Like when we go to conflict, they immediately send a bill to Congress so that when they get done and the actual numbers comes out, the funding to rebuild whatever we expended is already ready to go. And that's mostly money for our own defense industry. That's all money for home. It's not zero sum budgeting, but it's just backfill.
Yeah, and that was the same deal when the Biden administration wanted a supplemental for Ukraine. That was, we already have the weapons, and the thing of it was with Ukraine was we were giving them a lot of older weapons that we weren't using anyway. But in the same way, that goes to weapons manufacturers here in the United States. That's not going to military aid. That's not going to Israel. We do money through Israel through memorandum of understanding. That's where the weapons go. This is to replenish the stockpiles that we drained here. And the thing that I don't think people understand was just as much as the Trump administration is saying this was a success and this is an overwhelming thing, they had to expend a lot. They had to wear out a lot of our stockpile to do these strikes.
Yeah, munitions burn is always more than you think it's going to be, especially when you have, because you have things like the rescue mission. That's a whole nother op inside of an op that they didn't consider, and that seems like it was a pretty considerable engagement, just stuff like that.
Yeah.
I want to ask this too from the Washington perspective. When Congress comes back, assuming this ceasefire holds up and we come to some kind of a detente one way or the other, there was a lot of talk about hearings. They have the power of the purse, although they're not really going to go after Trump too hard in an election year yet. We'll see how that goes. Yeah. When Congress comes back, let's assume this holds. Let's project for a minute. Is this going to be the front burner issue? Or are we going to go back to shut down theater over DHS and the other funding? We still have a couple funding bills that need to be just pushed through regular. Yeah, we got FISA that's going to get that's going to be ugly internally, probably won't be in the headlines as much, but that is a really nasty fight inside of the GOP caucus. That's not a word. It should be caucus. I'm sitting on mine and it's tired right now. The caucus is really not happy about that FISA bill. That's going to be an ugly piece of legislation that's not been talked about.
Yeah.
What do you think happens? Do they talk about this, or do they just pretend this didn't happen, hope it fixes itself, and goes right back to that sort of stuff?
The Republican conference really wants, take into account, they are on a very truncated calendar. They immediately after this, they're going to be going away again in June. Let's not forget they got the August recess. Then they've got the October recess because they want to give people time to campaign. This is why I said Mike Johnson's kind of magical mystery reconciliation is kind of a fairy tale. Because just with that truncated schedule, just considering how they already have to, again, Johnson's thinking about kicking back the vote on Homeland Security spending until they have kind of an agreement on reconciliation. That takes away time. That takes away resources from FEMA and a lot of the other sub agencies that are not DHS and that are not ICE or CBP. So that's going to take some time. Then on top of that, they need to also try to pass a reconciliation bill. I think they just kind of want all this to go away. The reason why they all voted for the reason why the Republicans voted against a war powers resolution is because nobody wants to be on record voting for an authorization of the use of military force or or a declaration of war in an election year. You just don't. And so they're trying basically everything they can to prevent, Mike Lawler, Rob Bresnahan, Brian Fitzpatrick, David Valadao from having to vote on an authorization of use of military force, in an election year. So,
yeah, and the other piece of that, and we'll get back to Iran in a second, but I think it's important because I like to stay ahead of the headlines. In about a week and a half, when Congress comes back, this is going to be the stuff they're dealing with. We need your buddy Pablo for this one, maybe, but
yeah,
it almost seems like, and I don't think they did it on purpose, but with the Iran war popped up. the shutdown fight over DHS, I think the immigration part of it almost started to lose its bite a little bit. I know the
Yeah,
base really wants it. I know the base is a lot of the GOP bases, but it seemed like it really became the bureaucratic fight over shutdown theater and just saying, well, this is to stop the immigrant hordes from coming in the country. That seems like it lost a lot of its steam and it got back onto congressional dysfunction as opposed to, oh, we're trying to build up Border Patrol and ICE and all this other stuff to stop the migration. There seems like there's been a shift. Do you
yeah. I
feel
mean,
that?
absolutely. And look, let's also be real. Democrats didn't get what they wanted. They wanted concrete ICE reforms. They wanted removal of masks. They wanted warrants, judicial warrants, I should say, not administrative warrants. They didn't want patrolling around the streets. They wanted body cameras. They didn't get any of that. One second.
Stuff happening in real time. This is what
Yeah,
happens
yeah,
when
yeah.
you
We,
get
we, we
reporters
are
on
we
their
are
days
live,
off.
baby. We are live, baby. Yeah, that was my editor. So like the point that I was making was that you know, I'm gonna have to log off in a bit, but like
Yeah, I'll get you out of here in a minute.
but yeah, the point that I was making is that like there really is like nobody won on this, but Republicans had to tap out because they're in the majority, and Democrats just basically ran out the clock. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Eric Garcia, Ace reporter, he's given us a good 25 minutes. Let me do two more things real quick and I'll get you out of here and you can go file because I got the same problem and I've got 8 media hits in the morning I got to go prep for. It was interesting. I was doing Canadian TV this morning and we did the VTR package for this, which aired literally 10 minutes before Trump agreed to it because of course it did.
Yes.
And they asked the exact same question a lot of the allies are asking is, and I think the American media overblows how our foreign friends see Trump. They don't see long-term damage to America. They really don't.
No, they don't.
They see it as we'll see who gets elected next. We'll ride out Trump. We understand he's difficult to deal with. He's a special case. I was talking to Canadians about this morning. You are a media member. I am too, but although you're certified and I'm just playing at it. What do you think this does to the perception of Trump as we go into the midterm and we get into the heart of the lame duckism? Did he hurt himself? Did he help himself? Is it going to wash out as neutral of Trump being Trump? I think he hurt himself at the base a little bit here. I don't know that it's going to change a whole lot electorally right now, but it's another of a drip, drip, drip of not a great year for the president.
Yeah, it's the 6-year itch, which is never a great thing for a president. No. Obama dealt with it. Reagan dealt with it. Bush dealt with it. It happens to 2-term presidents. The other thing is that, like, I think this is a symbolism that he's. I don't want to say he's impotent because no president is impotent as long as they are in control of nukes, but they don't have as much influence. And now, basically, I think whether it's the GCC or whether it's Europe or whether it's NATO, this just shows we got to ride out Trump. To borrow from Mark Carney at Davos, this is a rupture. They see this as just like, okay, let's just ride it out with Trump, and then we'll take it from there. So.
And I bring that up as my dog barks and your cat starts crying, so it's time to go. But I bring that up because you said the 6-year itch, but the reality is, and this is what Congress is facing, it's not 6 years, it's 10 years because President Trump didn't really go away. And because of the weakness of, there he is. See, I let him in. That's called a tease in the business, kids. My dogs are barking too. But because of the weakness of the Biden administration and because of Biden's obvious decline in the last year or so, especially, Trump never really went away. No. So I don't think you can even say 6 years. I think this Iran thing, he really didn't look good with the constant deadlines. That press conference Monday, he was very rambling, low energy. It was not a good look for him. They need to try to do something PR-wise here. I don't know what lever they're going to pull, but I think it's going to be start blaming Congress. Is that what you're feeling?
I feel like that's absolutely the thing, even though the Congress didn't really have any role in this by design. That's the easiest thing is just blame the other branch.
All right, we got to let him go. Eric Garcia on 5 minutes notice gave me 25 minutes great content. You are good, sir. We'll do longer form, sir. And I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, everybody watching, we appreciate you joining us live. It is the most precious thing you have, your time, especially on a snap thing like this. Greatly appreciate you. Hit us up, Heard Tell Show on the Twitter, heardtellshow@gmail.com. You can reply in the comments here. You can also send it if you haven't subscribed yet. It's free to subscribe. More stuff coming as we start to get back to work where I've been busy with other things. Appreciate your time. We'll see what happens with the ceasefire. Stay with us. Take care. See, I'm still trying to figure out how to turn this thing off because the button's up here. Camera. Button's up here instead of down here. It's new. So take care, guys.